I'll count down from 3. You either throw your hat in the trash or put your hat back on and break my heart. 3, 2, 1. Behind me stand 2 avid supporters of Donald Trump, and by the end of today, I intend on convincing them to throw away their MAGA hat and denounce their support for Donald Trump.
Not a chance.
We'll see. By a show of hands, who would not vote for a candidate if they threatened our Constitution and democracy?
If they threatened our democracy, to not vote for them.
Who would not vote? Who would that be disqualifying for? Is this a no, not raising my hand, or is this a contemplating?
I'm trying to understand your question.
If somebody were to
Yes.
threaten the essence of our democracy,
Yes.
would you vote for them? Would you consider voting for them? You don't have to say any
Perhaps
threats
if
yet.
they're on the ballot, but
What?
Biden threatens in other ways, just not as vocally as Trump.
Who brought up Trump and Biden? Not me yet. Well, I did technically.
Okay.
But just
Well,
as
I
a
thought
general
that's why we're
statement. You're right. That is why we're here. No, I just want to get a confirmation that it makes sense as a political person, as a voter, to say, number one issue sort of has to be you respect in a basic sense our democracy, because everything else comes from that, right?
Yes.
We vote for politicians who make policies. Every policy they implement or try to implement doesn't matter if they break down the foundation of democracy. Okay, we agree. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Or you're like, I don't know, dictator could be cool.
Yes.
Yes, dictator.
Oh, no dictator.
No dictator.
Okay.
Okay.
As is already likely obvious to you, if I were going to be able to make either one of them give up their support for Trump, we had a long way to go before decision time, which brings us to the debunker.
What's the condition of the current American economy under Joe Biden?
Abysmal.
Joe Biden took over during a crisis. You agree. Unemployment was high when Trump left office because of pandemic-related conditions. Inflation was poised to spike, obviously, because of the trillions that were spent under Trump. And then we kept spending relief money under Biden as well. And so then inflation started spiking. Supply chains were messed up. That caused a bunch of problems, and that all started during the pandemic. Trump was president. I'm not blaming him for it, though. I mean, the pandemic, come on. He mishandled it, but I think that mostly had to do with the pandemic. Record job growth. A bunch of people, how often have you heard a recession is going to happen? A recession is going to happen, and then it didn't happen, and instead we're in an incredibly strong economic situation right now with problems still. But why do we forget that Biden took over during a crisis and now inflation's back down to a healthy economic figure? Wage growth, adjusted for inflation, is higher than it was under Donald Trump. Job growth continues to be strong. And even after we've made back all the jobs that we lost during the pandemic, we've continued to have stronger jobs numbers than we had under Donald Trump. Those things, how do they hate you?
Okay.
I get the whole transition thing, where it was in a bad state under Trump, and then now it blew up under Biden. But you could say that could be a mismanagement of resources. Trump and Biden had the same resources, but Trump managed them better.
The crisis?
Yeah.
Well, he spent like $7 trillion during his presidency.
And we just sent $7 trillion to Ukraine.
No, we didn't.
We sent more.
Then $7 trillion?
$7 trillion.
That is definitely not true. It's in the billions, low billions.
The Trump supporters and I spent all day together, which, as you can imagine, was not a small amount of work. Deprogramming for hours straight takes a toll on you, so while I took a break, I had some videos for them to watch.
Said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know.
Oh, it's so weird.
I would.
You know what you are?
If you were your daughter?
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that. I can't relate that.
I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just like, I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the you can do anything.
That's pretty gross.
That is gross. But what does that have to do with politics?
What would a second Trump term look like?
fundamentally a second Trump term could mean the end of American democracy as we know it. And I don't say that lightly. We all witnessed him trying to steal a democratic election before and going to historic and unconstitutional lengths to do so. And that just shows that he's willing to basically break every barrier to get into power and to stay into power. But also, I'm very concerned about what the term would actually look like.
Man, I mean, it just sounds like what are these people's motivation? Like it sounds like they just want to ride his coattails and
They're all
profit
hot.
on.
Something probably happened.
Like what?
I don't know. Anything. Yeah, I don't know who they are. But
It sounds like they're just making it up. I don't buy it.
Are the allegations against Joe Biden substantive?
Which allegations?
The allegations regarding him being bribed is one of the ones James Comer is saying. Trying to and benefiting Hunter Biden's business ventures while he was vice president, and just generally being corrupt. They accuse him of so many things, but this whole impeachment, effort, that's the question. Or are you like, no, this is bogus political data from Republicans?
Yeah, I really can't. I can't give a good answer. I just don't know. I don't.
If you don't know, then how on earth are you okay with Trump at every single speech saying Biden's the most corrupt president in American history, and James Comer and every Republican going on Fox News and saying the same?
I'm okay with that.
Just baselessly saying things?
Yeah.
All of that originated from an FD 1023 FBI form that a guy by the name of Alexander Smirnov reported to the FBI accusations against Biden, and he was a confidential human source. And so they documented that he was accusing Biden of being bribed, of all the things that we've heard of. Viktor Shokin, Ukraine, trying to get the top prosecutor fired to help Hunter Biden, even though that's just completely the opposite of what Burisma wanted. And that guy was just indicted for lying about that all alone to the FBI and feeding them false information. A massive fraud of this type of magnitude, I have this part memorized, allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution.
our great founders did not want and would not condone false and fraudulent elections. Yes.
Right. Okay, so he's for terminating the Constitution because he thinks the election was stolen. That's there. That's obvious.
Mhm.
That's ridiculous. One of the schemes I want to break down for you is the fake electors scheme. Well, before January 6th, what they were trying to do, and they got people to do this, was put together fraudulent forms saying this other slate of electors is the actual one, send those to Washington, and then have Mike Pence go, I know there's like the lawful ones over here, and I could certify those, but instead Congress should hear out these other electors and then undemocratically declare Trump the victor of the election.
Well, here's this. So that is an issue for Republicans to do that. And then, but this reminds me of like Black Lives Matter. What do you have to say about those protesters going in, looting, this and that? Similar to something like this, people were killed too. So how was all of that okay for expressing their wrong? And Republicans, this is how they're expressing that they're wronged.
Mm-hmm. So anyone who violated the law during the Black Lives Matter protest summer should be held accountable. And many of them were held accountable for that. And Democratic leaders weren't saying, let's get Black Lives Matter to oust Trump from office and install Biden as the president. There's a difference between riots, which there were riots during that summer, don't get me wrong, and people shouldn't have violated the law. You can peacefully protest, that's it. And people should be held accountable, and again, people were from that summer. But those things happen, and they shouldn't. But that's different than a group attacking the Capitol because the president of the United States at the time was saying our elections don't work anymore. You shouldn't believe that democracy works, and you should fight like hell, go down to the Capitol and fight like hell because this certification can't happen, otherwise we lose our country. Do you understand the difference? You can't find a single clip of Biden saying, Black Lives Matter, stop Trump from being president or something. There's just no attachment to the Democratic Party encouraging anything of the sort.
But he's always being indicted.
For breaking the law so many times. Trump?
Yeah, so you're trying to move him out of power by indicting him.
No, he was out of power once he got indicted.
I mean, y'all are obsessed with y'all are always trying to find something that he's wrong.
Prosecutors?
No, the left.
We're obsessed with, well, whenever he tried to end democracy, yeah, I was pretty upset with that. And now again.
No, obsessed. So I'm sure
I'm
y'all were.
obsessed. I am obsessed. I'm obsessed with people who want to be dictators, for sure.
To keep this entertaining, we're only showing you a few glimpses into the entire day of conversations and presentations, but at this point we had been together for hours. I had thrown everything I could at the wall, and it was time for them to make the decision.
So we have spent the day together, and we now have come to the nerve-wracking part of this, where potentially it was for nothing or for something incredible. I am asked a lot of times by people, because I talk to a lot of Trump supporters, is it possible to get through to them? So this whole show was supposed to be a test at that. If I threw everything at the wall over the course of a day with a couple of Trump supporters, would anything change? Would they have a revelation of any kind? So if you both take off your Trump hats for a second, MAGA hats, and this is it. I'll count down from 3. You either throw your hat in the trash or put your hat back on and break my heart. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Oh my God! The emotional roller coaster. Yes! I don't want to speak to you. That's actually amazing. When you both were about to throw it in, my mind was going to be blown. My ego got really big, then really small, then really big again. Or mildly big. Okay, so we'll start with you. What made you make this decision?
Well, it would be a waste to throw.
Profound.
It's a great conversation starter. And he represents the values of the American people.
After everything we talked about. I thought we were building something real. What about you?
Some of the headlines in the videos are pretty emotionally jarring, I guess is the best way to put it. Some of the things that were said, I guess in privacy, were pretty gross, especially about women. So it would be interesting to look at what else is out there.
Very cool. Today, we saw it's possible. So this, if for no other reason, gives you some hope in your personal life, if you dare go down this journey, maybe you can convince somebody. If you force them to stay at a complex for an entire day and show them a perfectly designed presentation, you can do it.
He's very passionate.
Well, what did he do that was dangerous while he was in power? He was empowered right here. He was trying to block French power here.
Yeah, but like that was at the transition.
No, this was while he was president, before the election, or after the election took
Yeah, but that was around election season. But what about the other 3 years?
I'm fine talking about why I don't think he was a good president the first 3 years. I find it profoundly irrelevant to assess him as a normal president when at the end he tried to just end elections, just stop our democratic process from proceeding. Because like I said before, it's why I sort of did the check at the beginning. I don't think any other policy matters, any other policy discussion matters if we don't have a functioning democracy. And that's what he was trying to impede.